Welcome to Can I Park Here? Brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. Nashay and Estrell's mission is to inspire future and existing small business owners. They don't claim to be experts. They're simply trying to figure this all out, just like you.
Hello, and welcome to the Can I Park Here podcast brought to you by FindAFashionTruck.com. My name is Nashay Snow, and I'm here with
Estrell Riles. Today we'll be speaking with Tiffany Taylor of Love Cork Screw. She's a longtime friend of mine. She'll be chatting with us about multiple streams of income and basically how to manage your time.
Yeah, and what I love about Tiffany is that she is someone that is always on the go and she doesn't even think about time. It seems like she just thinks about what she wants to do and she just goes for it. And each one of the businesses that she owns is like completely different from each other. There's no, they don't tie into each other at all. I mean, they're completely different. But I guess the only thing they do have in common is her and her motivation to make them successful.
Yeah, she is one of those people that inspires me to just get up and go because she doesn't stop. She keeps going, trying new things all the time. So kudos to her.
And yeah, so we think you're really going to enjoy her. And I love how, she really pays attention to detail, making sure that the marketing and the graphics are just right. And so after you listen to this episode, I really, really think you should go over to Love Cork Screw, look at the brand for her wine, look at the brand of her website. It just I don't even drink at all, not at all. And I want to buy a bottle of wine just because it looks so cute and cool. But yeah, no, we think you'll learn a lot. Even as a boutique or a fashion truck owner, I think what you'll get out of this episode is how to stay motivated, how to do multiple things without going crazy, and also some marketing tips and how to really accomplish your dreams.
And if you decide to go into business with a friend or a family member, she also gives great tips on how to be successful in working with a partner.
Yeah. So let's get started.
Here we go.
So we're excited today to have Tiffany Taylor from Love Cork Screw. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. We're just going to start off with having you tell the listeners just a little bit about your background. What were you doing before Love Cork Screw? How did you get there?
I was doing a lot of things. So to start, my career background actually started in law enforcement by accident. So I was with the Federal Police Department for about 8 years. I started that job when I was about 19, did that for a while doing federal background investigations. And from there, I was a 911 police and fire dispatcher for a number of years as well. So career-wise, job-wise, I've always been in the law enforcement sector, which really gave me, really expanded me to be a people person, how to talk to people and how to adapt to different people, different situations, emergencies, really work under pressure. So that really honed my skills in that area. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur since I was probably a little kid. My first business was the tax business. I started that when I was 19. I still own that now today. That's Preferred Tax Solutions. From there, I went into real estate. I've always wanted to do real estate investments, so I got my real estate broker's license about 11 years ago. I still do that. I still dabble in real estate a little bit. And then Love Cork Screw came about a year and a half ago. And that's really been taken off as well. So my background is very across the board.
How do you have time for all of this?
I don't think about time.
Because you have 2 kids and then you got all of these businesses. How in the world are you able to juggle all of this?
I don't know. And like I said, I don't think about time because when I start thinking about it, I become overwhelmed with it. I read a lot of self-help books. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, and just a lot of wealthy business people that I admire, is multiple sources of income. So that's my angle. I love just multiple sources of income. I realize that I have different talents from different angles, and I like to touch on those in different ways. So that's kind of how I got into wearing so many different hats all at the same time.
Now, does it ever come to a point where you have to prioritize between the different businesses and say, okay, well, I need to make this my, my top focus and set the other ones to the side for the time being when I, am able to get back to it?
Yes, unfortunately that happens at times for different reasons, one way or another. For instance, my tax business, of course, is seasonal, so I don't have to deal with that 12 months out of the year. I probably do taxes about, 4 to 5 months out of the year. Love Cork Screw, however, is all year round. So I prioritize, juggle the two for at some point, during tax season, I have to juggle the two. And then real estate, again, I got to do it all year round, although the slow season is around Christmas and New Year's. So fortunately, these different hats are worn at different times, and sometimes, they do have their different priorities. So, but my kids, unfortunately, I have to wear that hat 24/7. So
it's nonstop, right?
It's nonstop.
Now, do you still do anything with like law enforcement, or have you just kind of given that up for good?
I've given that up for good. I enjoyed my experience there. But it really burnt me out. I love what I did, but it's very, very stressful. So I think I'm done with that for good.
But it must be nice to like have the freedom. It's almost like a little bit like the fashion truck owners, which is a large part of our audience. But it's the freedom, like you are literally making your schedule every day, like determining what you're going to work on versus working this 9-to-5 job, which must be awesome.
It is. It has its pros and cons. For there is that my own freedom, but at the same time, I think some days I overcompensate because I feel like since I'm not punching a clock, I need to work extra hard and put in longer hours so that I don't lax up in my job. So it does have its freedom because, then whenever I want a vacation, I don't have to fill out a vacation slip and ask for permission.
Right. So. Right. Like, oh, so-and-so beat me.
Right. Exactly.
Now, when did you get to a point where like your businesses were able to like pay your bills? Because I know like that's what a lot of people struggle with. It's, do I continue working my 9-to-5, and then when I get to a certain point, like a certain kind of salary in their head, then quit? Or do I just kind of take the leap? Did you just kind of take this leap of faith and say, okay, let's see what happens? Or did you make sure that you were kind of, able to pay yourself like a certain salary before making that jump?
I think a lot of people are always afraid of taking that jump. And I was also afraid. I was one of those who gave my job a certain time frame, and I said, okay, I'm going to just be here for 3 years. And, we always say that 3 years turn into 15, before we know it. But in my case, I was forced out. I was laid off. And at the time, I was devastated and unbelievably afraid of what the future was going to hold. There's no feeling that can explain when your livelihood is threatened and you have 2 children that depend on you. But like I said, I think that's the part of me that made me overcompensate. So little did I know when they laid me off, they were doing me a humongous favor because I guess in a way I consider myself retired because I'm retired from that job and have my freedom to do what I want and live and work for myself. But you don't know how much you can pay your bills and can support yourself when you actually step out and do it. I was nervous and I cut so much and I tried to cut my bills to the very minimum and say, okay, I need to eliminate everything that I don't need and eliminate the spending. When in actuality, I've been doing fairly well. That worry, it seems like the worry was for nothing. I don't know. I enjoy it. So I can't speak to anything else.
Now, have you actually encountered any type of hurdles when you were trying to start the tax business or start Love Cork Screw?
Yeah, because you're going to run into hurdles either way it go. There, like almost every day can be a hurdle. The tax business, I think the hurdle is always, where am I going to find clients? Marketing is the most expensive expense. And you're always worried about, where if I don't make the money, then, if I don't get the clients, I don't make the money. Word of mouth travels, and before you know it, I had clients. You treat people the way they want to be treated, and you set the standard to set yourself apart from your competition. People are going to come. As far as Love Cork Screw, same thing. I think Love Cork Screw grew legs and took off on its own, and we just pretty much had to follow the path in which the company was taking itself. So I'm fortunate for that as well. The hurdle is, again, that self-worry about, are we doing this right? Are we going to get the wine on the shelves? Are we going to get people to buy it? Are we marketing right? Are we reaching our audience? So I think sometimes our own worries are just within ourselves.
Yeah. And, with Love Cork Screw, can you walk us through, like, how did this idea come about? And then how are you able to, foster this, or grow this idea into, the business it is today?
The idea came about, I called my partner. We were friends, met playing flat football, and I approached her and said, "Hey, let's open up a wine bar." And she kind of laughed at me in the beginning and said, "Yeah, you just saying that because I used to own a bar." And I had no idea that she owned a bar prior to us being friends. Well, she had already started a blog and a radio show called Love Cork Screw. So when I came to her and presented her with the idea of owning the wine, we could not think of a name to name the wine. And I said, "Hey, well, you've got this radio show. Let's just call it Love Cork Screw. We'll just go with that." And we went with that. We contacted some vineyards that would partner with us and let us do a private label. And, they agreed to, let us do a private label. We designed the labels and the brand itself. And we went from there. Found a distributor that's been generous enough to take us on and actually work with our product and then get our product into some of the name brand stores that you see now. We're in over 50 locations, including Mariano's, Kim Bark, Benny's, Kenwood Liquors. So we're grateful for that.
Cool.
Neat. Was it a lot of contacting the media, or more just kind of making those cold calls to the stores, or, sending out emails just to say, "Hey, we're here. If you're interested, get back to us. We'll give you samples, yada, yada, yada." How are you able to build that momentum?
That's really hard to pinpoint. We really worked on relationships and asking a lot of people to have faith in us. I specifically remember walking into Kim Bark Liquors and just, talking with the owner and just really asking him, "Hey, just have faith in us and I'll prove to you what it is, what we're about." So in the beginning, I was doing a lot of the foot running, walking into each and every one of these retailers and asking them for their faith in us and showing them what we can do. From there, we went to doing our own events and trying to make a name for ourselves throughout the city and with our circle, our social media circle, our friends and family, and it grew from there. I can't pinpoint where it touched the media because at some point it did, and we roll with it. Yeah, I don't know. It just grew organically, and that's the good part. We're up against multi-million-dollar liquor brands and wine brands who are way bigger than we are. We're like this little guppy in a huge ocean.
Right.
For people to recognize us just in the Chicagoland area, that's tremendous.
And because how long have you been in business now, at least with the Love Cork Screw?
December will be 2 years.
Wow. No, that's amazing.
Yeah, this December will be 2 years, and it's been a roller coaster. We're learning and making the path along the way. It's not easy, but if people love us and they, once we get the feedback from the audience, that's what make it all worth it.
And that's the case with, most entrepreneurs. It's just learning as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Nobody ever knows everything when they start.
You don't. Yeah. You have to rely on fellow entrepreneurs and mentors. You're exactly right. No one really there's no manual on how to do this stuff. But just having someone to support you and understand what you're going through, and having like-minded people behind your back, or, there's tons of people to tell you it's not going to work, and you don't have time for that. Just grinding and understanding people that understand your grind with you, that's incredibly important. Get out there and network. Get out there, put your face out. Just go to events, go to different, events throughout the city. I don't care if you have to go by yourself. You just got to do it. Find that like-minded, people to support you, and you'll do fine.
And what do you think about, like, I'm sure you all probably kind of brainstormed this in the beginning, but what do you think there is about your brand that makes it kind of like stand apart? Because I'm sure a lot of people have tried this and they haven't had the success that you've had so far. Is there anything that you think like really makes you kind of stand out from some of the other, even the like big brands?
What makes us stand out is we're not trying to attract the wine enthusiasts. We're not trying to attract the brand newbies. We're right in the middle. We're mid-tier. And we're that eye catcher, perfect bottle to walk into a party with. We're that bottle that will catch a topic and you can talk about anything just from reading the labels. So that was strategically done because we felt like it was important for us to, if you're, at the grocery store, at the liquor store, and you're staring at a shelf of about 100 bottles, my thought was, what is going to make a person pick my bottle up? And that's what we aimed for.
Yeah, and I'm seeing your design. I love like the look of your website and the design of your wine bottles. So did you guys pay someone to do it, a designer to do it? Did you do it yourself? How did you go about like actually creating the designs?
So we're not that talented. We definitely had to hire someone to do it. It was all of our idea. So our graphic designer was fantastic in being able to capture what we were throwing at her. It's kind of like, if I can put you in my brain and you see what I see, but she was fantastic in being able to do that.
No, yeah, I think she did a great job. And even for the listeners out there, like, I feel like it's key to make sure that you have great pictures, a great logo, a great website. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just goes a long way because you could do all that marketing and people could come to your website and they don't know where to go or how to contact you. And then it's like, what's the point? You've lost business then.
Right.
So it's important to have that package, that entire package. And I think you guys have done a great job.
I think in this day and age, it's expected. People judge you just on your social media, your website. Before you're even a company, you can not even, exist, but they're going to judge you based on what they see on the internet. And that's really, really huge. I'm going to be opening my real estate brokerage in the next couple of weeks. And I think one of the things that's taken me so long is developing a website. So same thing. I have this thing that I want to give out this image that I'm, we have it together. We're this, my website have to be professional and together. Otherwise, you can, like you say, you can lose business just from that.
And that's what a lot of small business owners don't understand. And it's, I get that sometimes when you're just starting out, your budget might be small. Mm-hmm. And, you might start off with the websites, the do-it-yourself websites. Yeah. But you need to make sure that once you start making money, that you revamp everything you can to represent your brand. You want to have your website appear to be bigger than what your business actually is. Like when I go to a website, I want to be like, oh, this is nice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Something to draw me in and keep me there.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That is huge. That is key. And I think when you, like you said, when some small businesses can't afford to do it, think out of the box. Barter has been really, really huge for me. And I think it's so underused and so just people just don't think about it. They think, oh, I don't have the cash. I can't do it. Barter, ask for favors, Reach out. If someone tell you no, go to the next person. If you have a service that you can offer to someone else, trade those services and get what you need for your business until you're able to afford it.
Another thing I know that people struggle with businesses is social media, right? Mm-hmm. So you have like a few businesses. How do you manage all those social media accounts? Like, how do you make time for it? Do you have like a certain time of day that you do it, or do you just kind of go in there once a week? But how do you make sure they're active so you're constantly getting that engagement?
My social media is almost at the point where I'm thinking of like hiring a student to do it. The key thing with social media is, one, not posting too much, not posting not enough, and also being very responsive in a timely manner. So you can do it a couple ways. There are times when I do set a schedule where I sit down maybe once a week. Hootsuite is very good with that, where you can set a schedule that, you can plan out your posts for the entire week. But that doesn't mean that for the entire week I don't check it, because now you have to be interactive with people. People like your social media when you're a little bit personal with it. So I don't always post just business stuff. Sometimes I post a little bit about my life, what's going on. I don't get very personal, but people like to see that I am a human being and I go through regular human being stuff. When you have that interaction with people and you interact, comment, you like, or you retweet, repost, that goes a long way. People get to know you over social media, and next thing you know, you're walking down the street and they're like, "Hey, you're that girl on my Facebook page." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
That's me.
So when you post the personal stuff, do you kind of gear it towards where it relates to Love Cork Screw in some type of way, or do you just post random personal stuff?
Random personal stuff I will do. It doesn't always relate to Love Cork Screw or any other of my businesses. I can just say maybe something inspiring. And when I say not too personal, like me particularly don't do anything about love life, dating, my inner thoughts or any negative thoughts, but I keep it family friendly. Just, a random thought of the day. I don't know, something that I might have saw trending in the news or something. I like to keep it that way because people, they see that you're a personal person. So they can relate to that, and maybe there's something that they're going through and which they would comment, and then, a relationship will flourish that way.
When you're running a business with a partner, what are the ups and downs with that? Because when people don't mesh well, then there are problems. And then sometimes it's great. So what has been your experience?
First and foremost, a partnership is a marriage, no matter what.
You know what? I agree with that, because with Nashay, I talk to her every single day, sometimes for like 2 to 3 hours. And I'm like, oh my God, Nashay, you're killing me.
I know. My husband is like, I think you talk to her more than you talk to me.
Yes. Yes. It's a marriage. It's hands down. If like you say, if you're not married, it will be the person that you would talk to the most. I think what's most important is, in the very beginning, get the understanding that it is a marriage. Number 2, that you will fight. Understand that and get that out the way, because you need to set the standards on what your fighting is or shouldn't be. What's important is understanding when you're going to fight, agree to disagree, and move on. Or set some type of accountability in place. Whereas if you two never agree, all right, so what is it that we're going to do that's going to break the tie? What's going to be the tiebreaker? And that's what we're going to roll with. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah,
and one of the sad statistics is partnerships never work, or most partnerships fail. It's kind of like the divorce rate.
Right.
And it is difficult. It really, really is difficult. It's just that keep the business part first, keep the business in mind. The success of the business overall is what's most important. If you absolutely cannot not do it, don't get it to the point where it's going to affect the friendship. Because when you've gotten to that point, then everything's going to go sour and it's going to go downhill from there. just go in it knowing that partnerships are difficult. Someone once told me that the reason why people become a partner is because they have low self-confidence and thinking that they can do it on their own. Some of that I think may be true. But, there are advantages to having a partnership because you and your partner may have different strengths and weaknesses. But most importantly, like I said, just set whatever parameter you need to. That's going to be that tiebreaker for when you don't agree.
Right.
And compromise is a big thing, too.
Compromise is huge.
You got to know when to just say, you know what, this is not the battle I want to fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Compromise is really huge. And unfortunately, and one of the things that I like to say to my partner, too, is regardless of how we fight, kind of like when you marry, never go to bed angry. That's important too. I can't speak on how this is so much like a marriage.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's interesting kind of to go to your point of where people, because I've heard that too, where people are like, oh, either they're down on partners or they're like, oh, people just want a partner because they're afraid to do it on their own. And I'm like, no, that's for some of the people who want to get partners. But I think a relationship, a partnership works out when you want or agree to do a partner because you want someone to share it with. You know that like by having that additional person, you'll be stronger. And so if you go into a business with that understanding versus I can't do this by myself, then it changes that dynamic, yeah.
Absolutely. I think writing out your roles and sticking to your roles are very important as well. Because when you start crossing roles and people are doing what they're not committing to doing, that can cause some conflict too. Again, just like the business, having a partnership, there's no manual written to that. You have to go with what you learn as you go. But if you set the foundation in the very beginning that, look, we're going to agree to disagree. We're going to duke it out. We're going to fight. We're still going to love each other in the end. But these are the parameters that we're going to set to be the tiebreaker. And this is what we're going to agree to and stick with it. I think, it'll definitely work out.
No,
yeah,
that's great.
I know, like, I've probably pissed Michelle off thousands of times, but it's like...
I feel like that's a low number.
This just pissed me off too. So, but this is like, okay, it is what it is. It's not going to make me say, you know what, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. Mm-hmm. We're just going to work through it.
Yeah, right. It comes to that point. Unfortunately, there's some partnerships I've seen that just go through heck of turmoil. And they've got to get to the point where they got to get attorneys involved. And, that's not cool. So, if you think you're going to do that, go determine who's going to be your mediator. Or, learn to communicate. Go to counseling. Believe it or not, I feel like business partners should also go to counseling, marriage counseling if you have to. Yeah. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Communication is key. And when you cannot see each other eye to eye on simple communication and build on communication skills, you're going to be doomed to fail.
No, I completely agree. And do you have any advice for aspiring business owners or even business owners that have multiple businesses and they're wondering like, do I need to give all of them up except one? Yeah, just anything that, you've learned that might help people keep going or give them like that will to like continue to be an entrepreneur or future small business owner.
And even how to just manage your time, because that's a big thing.
Time management is a big thing. No, I'm one to say don't give them up. Warren Buffett would never say that. Donald Trump would never say that. The Koch brothers would never say that. Know how to manage. Again, multiple streams of income or not having all your eggs in one basket. That's my belief. Some people get it confused with being a hustler. And there's a difference between being a hustler and being an entrepreneur, or like sometimes I call it a serial entrepreneur. There's a difference. But time management is key. Having a team with each of your businesses is also key because you can't do it by yourself. You're going to need a team and implement a system with each of your businesses to help you along the way. Fortunately for me, for my real estate business that's going to be opening in a couple of weeks, I'm implementing a team to help me with management, to help with administrative. That's going to be really important because I know I can't do it all by myself. I want to be focused on building the brand and have people that's going to help me in the office deal with the administrative work that I can't do. So that's going to be extremely important. Same thing with Love Cork Screw. We have a team to help us with, just the everyday operations and have an assistant to help us coordinate everything together. It's three of us, three partners in Love Cork Screw, and each of us have other businesses. So,
right.
it's a matter of having that system in place, time management, and, if there's kids involved like myself, hey, then you got to fit that in too. So,
mm-hmm. Well, before we go here, we have just some questions to help the audience get to know you a little bit better.
Ooh, I like those.
Do you have a favorite podcast or blog? And if so, what is it?
I've checked out your blog. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. I love the variety. I love the diversity. I love the niche that you guys are going for. I think that's tremendous because so many starting entrepreneurs think that it's hard and they don't do it. They let fear stop them. So your blog in particular, you guys go over a lot of just a newbie, rookie stuff. And though, sometimes I feel like a rookie, I'm not really a rookie, but it's kind of like you bring it back to the basics. So I love that.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Because with it, like, you're right. Like, everybody thinks it's so hard, but it's like, hey, you can't afford a site. Go on Squarespace. They have beautiful templates and you can you make sure your photos are beautiful, which you could take beautiful photos on, your iPhone in natural light, and you could fake it till you make it. Like, people will think that it is a professional site until you're able to create something more robust, So yes. It's like really just trying to help people like just get started, to let them know like this is better than any other time in history. Everything you need is online or on your phone.
Yes.
So we just want to inspire and motivate as much as we can.
Yeah. And that's really important because people don't understand how much they have it in themselves. I have a 24-year-old sister who, her and I just got into a little clique. I don't want to call it an argument, but we got into a little debaticle a couple of days ago because she's had this fantastic idea for a mobile pet service. And she's had this idea for years. And finally, I, talked to her again about it. Like, seriously, why aren't you doing it? And she simply said, well, I never did it because I thought I couldn't get clients. And I thought, but you're already doing it. You're doing it for your friends. You're doing it for your family. It's just like you're overthinking it. So many people overthink it, and they need that inspiration to say, you're doing it. Just get out here and do it. Me personally, I think that jobs are not loyal. Eventually our society is going to be just so self-sufficient, and self-employment is going to be the way to go. So if, our governments are complaining about budgets and how we're going to pay, and people are getting laid off and jobs are getting cut, make a job, do it. Go out there and just do it. And if you need the inspiration, find other people that's been there before you and paved the way, and let them be your mentor.
So what do you like to do in your free time to just wind down and de-stress? The little free time you have. What do you do just to relax?
Sometimes that involves my own bottle of wine. More than I'm but I like to stay fit, stay active. I think that, I do a lot of bike riding. Australia know too. We've been out and been active together for a long time. That does tremendous. You have to be physically capable of handling this no time that you have. So, being, eat right, live right, and that'll give you the endurance to do all these businesses.
You're vegetarian, right?
I am.
How's that going?
I love it. I don't think I'll ever go back to meat until probably on my deathbed. I tell my kids, I'd like a steak taco at my last hour. Don't tell anybody that, but that's my last hour. Just bring a steak taco right to bed. I'll happy. So.
Well, that's funny. It's like we're doing this kind of the vegan thing now because we had Jessica Mernan on the podcast, and she does kind of like this healthy living, and part of it is having this vegan kind of diet, and so we've been doing it.
It's plants based,
right? Yes.
Plants are an acquired taste. You just got to
It's hard, though. It's like hard. No sugar, no meats, no seafood. Like, really?
And no dairy. And no
dairy.
Eggs,
so essentially it is kind of like vegan.
Yeah, it's totally, if you're saying no dairy, it's totally vegan. It's not that hard. I know how you are, Australia.
For me, it's just like when it comes down to cooking, like figuring out all of those substitutes, like for cheese and, just ridiculous stuff. I'm like, I don't have time for this. No. And then I don't know where to go, like vegan restaurants and stuff like that. So I don't know.
It is a lot of work when you first start off. But think about it. You're trying to undo, how many years of eating that, a certain way. Right. And you're not going to be able to undo that in a week.
And I feel like it's gotten easier. I guess we're like on our third week now. Estra has cheated a lot. I've only cheated a little with some seafood. And, but I do, I finally now feel like a little bit of a difference, like sometimes, I would have like a few digestive issues, which I really don't have anymore. So I'm wondering if it was probably the dairy, like something as simple as cheese that just wasn't, I wasn't able to like digest properly. So I do feel the difference, but it is extremely hard. I think once the 6 weeks is over, because we're doing it for 6 weeks, I would at least need to like incorporate seafood in my life. I can't say no to shrimp.
Well, you will discover your body once you start taking things away or start changing things. You'll discover a lot more about your body that you've never known before. And not only that, but you'll start discovering a lot of different foods, different tastes, things that you like that you may have not liked, so just stick with it. And I guarantee you'll definitely feel better after 6 weeks.
Right. Hear that, Astro? Okay. So, Android or iPhone, and what's your favorite app?
Android, hands down.
Oh. What's your favorite app?
My favorite app.
Does Android even have apps?
Oh.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna take that. But my favorite app, probably, other than you mean like other than social media?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Probably Gas Buddy.
Oh.
I drive an SUV, so
that is your friend.
Yes. What is that?
It gives you the prices of all the gas stations near you.
Really?
Gas Buddy. Yeah. I check that a lot too. I'm trying to give up the SUV though, so hopefully I'll have a new car in a couple of months.
The final question is, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?
It would definitely have some regard to giving back to my community in a huge, huge way. I don't have the answers to stop the crime. I don't have the answers to take guns off the street. I don't have the answers to all of our government deficit. However, humanitarianism still exists. And if I knew without a doubt that I could not fail, it will definitely be the ultimate give back. I would totally trump Oprah. So, so that it would be along those lines.
And also, where can the listeners find you? What are some of your social media handles and websites?
www.lovecorkscrew.com. Look for Taylor Realty Group. That's going to be coming aboard very soon. Taylor Realty Group. But I'm really huge on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Think in Big, or Tiffany Taylor on Facebook. I probably friend any and everyone. So send me a Facebook friend request or an inbox if you want to introduce yourself. My Twitter feed is Tiff Taylor. Please get me on Twitter. I love meeting people all across the world and love hearing people's stories. So if you want to get my attention, tell me your story. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, and if you own a store, contact her. Maybe you can buy her wine.
Absolutely. Store, a bar, a restaurant, whatever. Absolutely contact me. Or you need to buy a house, want to do your taxes.
Oh, right.
All
Right.
Yeah, Tiffany was my realtor. Help me buy my house.
Does it all. Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate you coming on to our show.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Wow, she was fantastic. I loved interviewing her. I got so many good nuggets from this episode.
Yeah, I got quite a few on how to deal with you, my partner.
Hey, it's a marriage, man.
I need patience, and I really need a vacation from you, to be quite honest. I compromise so much.
Too bad, so sad, man.
And it's a one-sided thing.
Right.
So people, if you have a partner, please make sure it's somebody you can tolerate. Because
that is so true. Because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. It's interesting because we've talked about partners a little bit in the episode with Stacy from the Fashion Truck. But I was listening to this other podcast. I can't remember which one. And they were just talking about the person that was interviewing and the interviewee were both had partners and then they didn't work out. So now they're solo. So you do hear all these stories of how people don't quite work out and then they just end up working on projects themselves. But if you find that right person that you mesh with and then they have their thing and you have your thing, it can work.
Yeah. But in regards to Love Cork Screw, I think the branding is right on point and they're doing great in the Chicagoland area. So if you live in Chicago, go check them out, buy a couple bottles. I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah. And with her, it's interesting. It starts like this for most people, but a lot of people don't really choose to accomplish their dreams until they're laid off or fired or have to move to another city or, I think, Entrepreneur Fire, the guy there calls it the baby effect, or maybe you have this baby now and you really are motivated now to make your dreams come true and be able to sustain yourself with your own business. But even though that happened for her and gave her the kick she needed, know that you don't necessarily have to have that kick. You just have to have that desire to do it. So don't be afraid to take that risk.
And just so you all know, my plan, if I ever happen to get fired or laid off, if I decide to just randomly quit my full-time job, my plan is to sell all of my stuff and go to Maryland and move in with Nisha and just have her take care of me till I get back on my feet.
Jeez.
That is my plan. Love that. So I'm putting it out there for everybody to hear. So Nisha, if you turn me away or if you play me shady, then everybody's going to know that you're bogus.
Wow. Well, what I'll say to that, which is so funny, is my husband actually might be kind of happy because he'll actually get a home cooked meal.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just won't have any money to give you.
Because for those who don't know Astrel, she is a gourmet chef. So that would be one benefit. The only benefit, really,
Okay. But if we were together in the same place, maybe we might get a little bit more work done.
That is true. So
if you want, I could probably quit, tomorrow.
Yeah, let's take it slow.
I hate you. Anyway.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. I mean, I thought she had like tons of good nuggets in there that are practical for any type of business. And if anything else, I feel like you should just feel motivated, like knowing that Tiffany is managing 3 businesses with like a very busy home.
Multiple streams of income is hard work, but it'll pay off in the end.
Like always, if you have a question for us, if you go to the podcast or contact page, you could click the Ask FFT button and leave a voicemail, and we'll actually play it on air. We actually got one in today, and then probably the next episode where it's just me and Estrella, we will feature it. So thank you, Cassandra, for leaving a message for us.
Yeah, so go to startafashiontruck.com and you can actually view the show notes for this episode as well. And in the show notes, there is a link to where you can rate our podcast on iTunes. So we'd appreciate it if you do that. Thank you in advance.
Yeah, and those all the ratings like really, really help our podcast get out there. So everybody who's done it already, we appreciate it. And for all of our social networks, if you want to get in touch with us on Pinterest or Facebook, just type in Find a Fashion Truck and we'll come right up. On Instagram and Twitter, just type in FFT_official_ and we'll come right up. And I'm sure if you just type in Find a Fashion Truck, period, will come up almost everywhere. So please follow us, check us out. And as always, thank you for listening.
All right. Bye, folks. Thanks for parking here.
Have a wonderful day.